Hi y'all, Jackie Horton here with Realty Austin. I'm sitting with Marian Roberts of Austin Title, and we're continuing our series of What's That? And so I want to talk a little bit about what happens, at the closing, but also kind of some crazy stories that you've seen or heard, or your best stories. Because I know we were just chatting about one of the stories that we've heard about kind of, people committing mortgage fraud. They realize it at the table. They've signed off on the paperwork saying this is not the right thing to do, and then they head out to the bathroom and never come back. Yeah, exactly. So tell me one of your stories that you've had or heard
of. I've heard of it. It hasn't happened to me, thankfully, but I know there's always, unfortunately there's always those cases of forgery or false identity, and I've heard of a story of a seller, a husband coming to the closing table with his wife, who wasn't really his wife, but he had an ID that showed his wife's picture. It was a fraudulent ID, of course, and thankfully the closer was alert and was able to identify it as being a false driver's license or ID, whatever it was, and was able to stop the closing.
So he wasn't able to close on the house with his mistress.
He was not. He was not.
Good. Glad to hear. Thank you for saving that marriage.
Yeah. Well, exactly. But yeah, there's been stories too. I know the lender, the lender package, there's typically, you may have seen this in your closings, a name affidavit, which is, when the lender pulls a credit report, different name variations. And you may have heard the story of, and I've heard this too, of a name that the husband didn't recognize the wife having before, meaning she was probably married before and he didn't realize it. So I'm sure that didn't end well.
Right. Surprise at closing.
Yeah. So not all surprises typically at closing are not good.
Yeah, sometimes. And then so tell me about, I know you've had obviously tons of great experiences as we all have, but tell me your favorite closing story.
I do have one that comes to mind. I was closing a first-time home buyer. She was a young girl. She was excited. She was nervous, and her family wasn't local. And I remember her telling me at the closing table, I was hoping my sister, she was trying to come down so she could be here with me and help move. And unbeknownst to her sister surprised her at closing. So, she was crying and super excited. So that's one of my favorite memories of a good surprise at closing.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Fun.